The best thing you can say about Agatha All Along is it's over. Combining the worst parts of the worst episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer with Joker Part 2, Agatha All Along makes us wonder what in the world is going on over at Marvel. This show does indeed earn our lowest review score in the history of the channel. Hang in there, folks, with us, and we'll tell you why Agatha is flat out worse than Acolyte and unwatchable. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the place where we are suffering, but no more. We have suffered through the Agatha series. We have suffered before that through the Acolyte. And finally, we are getting a break from terrible, dismal Disney live-action shows, at least for the time being. But now it's time to have our post-mortem. And indeed, this is appropriate for Agatha because the entire show is mortem. If you don't know what that means, well, go look it up because dead, dead, dead is exactly how we read this show from beginning to end. But we didn't even know how bad it could get. So let's bring on the panel, including Lauren Connor, Kevin Apollo, and so many more who are ready to explain to you how it is that Marvel found itself owning completely the worst show in the history of Disney Plus. It is time, folks. We are going to review the finale for Agatha All Along, as well as the entire series, because they canceled this before it even released. So they are really confident in it. Are we confident now that we've been forced to sit through it and watch it? Jonas, I hand my show to you for a moment, sir. Please give us the recap. What happened in these final two episodes?
Dear. Now I have to remember the 80 minutes of garbage that we just watched. Okay, so this starts with several characters dead. Because I don't know if you guys remember episode 7, in which Lilia defeated the Salem 7 in one foul blow. They wandered into a trap that was set for the previous for the episode that had nothing to do with them. So essentially, they resolved that whole thing, no problem. And the Asian witch that is a fire or protection witch, she is now dead, and Death shows up to have her walk off with her. And she's like, I can't be dead. No, you were dead. And the Potions Witch, played by Jennifer, Sashir Zamata, Jennifer Kale is another name for her.
I thought that was Buzz Lightyear.
It was Buzz Lightyear. She did play Buzz Lightyear.
Can we say that the Potions Witch has a moment in the series which is clearly meant to be allegory for the oppressed escaping the oppressor, and the Agatha is the oppressor, the woman who is the Potion Witch is the oppressed, and it seems to me to be metaphor for something much larger regarding race relations. Is that fair?
I probably, yeah, and the way she screams about it. By the way, just going to remind everyone that Sashir Zamata is a comedian. So maybe they were hoping she would ad-lib here and make this a funny show. Still not landing. There's some kind of argument between Death and Agatha about their relationship. It doesn't really matter.
They're hot and heavy lesbian lovers, right? Agatha and Death.
They are, but the kiss doesn't come until the which episode? No, it was this one because I'm trying not to spoil this in the 2 minutes it'll take before we get there, but they end up in some
Aubrey
kind
Plaza isn't even in the last episode, so.
That's true.
No, you're right. She is in the flashback. Sorry, I'm wrong.
Oh, that's right. That's right. She is in the prequel episode that's at the end. So they all end up in some kind of basement or morgue, and they're in body bags for some reason. And when I say all of them, it's just Billy and Agatha and Jennifer, and they pop out and they have to figure out something to solve their problems. And the Jennifer gets her powers back, and so she disappears off of the witch's road. And there was some kind of deal, by the way, that was made to where she said, I won't take you if you can deliver the boy to me and have the boy show up willingly and submit to death. So she's supposed to go in here and kill the boy. There is some kind of scene where he is reliving moments of WandaVision, but only with audio. And they figure out that there is some way for him to connect with his brother who didn't steal a body. several episodes ago, and basically that all gets resolved, and he disappears, and Agatha
can we
is
just say
left
that
there
both of
by
those
herself.
boys are fake, imaginary figments of the Scarlet Witch's imagination. They're
Right,
not real.
right, right. Except other universes, according to other multiverse aspects or whatever. If you follow Doctor Strange Mom, now somehow Agatha has some kind of revelation here. It crushes the basement, and she runs out. There's a flower that blooms and then withers or whatever. She runs out of the basement, and she ends up. I'm not exactly sure where, because now we're at Billy, and Billy has gone back to his house. His parents are like, "You've been gone for 24 hours. That's weird. Are you okay?" "Yes, I'm fine." Goes up to his room, and he realizes that he was imagining the Witch's Road the entire time and manifested the Witch's Road into existence.
Are we in the final episode at that point?
I'm a little confused by it, but essentially, I think that
By the way,
happened in the second to last episode.
They literally ripped off an episode of Buffy for this entire series.
So
Are we talking about Dawn?
Just so the audience understands our pain right now. Kevin's pain, Lauren's pain, all of us were in pain. None of this was real. The final episode, it all happened in Billy's mind, and Billy isn't real either.
What? No, wait. Are you saying, okay. I don't know how much of that was joking.
Billy's mind.
Because Billy is supposed to be, and this isn't Billy either. It is the soul of Billy that has infested another boy named Billy, and which is already complicated enough. Can't wait for that origin conversation. Wait for those Joss Whedon quips whenever they do the new Avengers. He manifested this into happening because apparently he also has reality bending powers akin to the Scarlet Witch. So we now have a young gay teen who has the same powers as the Scarlet Witch. Well, Marvin, I have to ask you: are these Wiccans' powers in the comics?
I do. That's a Kevin question more so than me, because
Kevin?
I'm
yes and no. Yes and no. They kind of got some stuff right. They kind of played fast and loose with how strong his reality warping powers are, but I also have tapped out and haven't opened up a Marvel book in a couple of years. So I'm kind of apt to say who knows at this point.
Okay. I'm going to say it's weird in the show, no matter how they do this. So they've now, of course, you can't give anybody ultimate power if they're a man, but you can if they're a gay man, apparently. So I forget exactly how this episode ends and the next one begins. Again, it was a very long 80 minutes here. So after they've resolved the fact that pretty much everyone Agatha's dead at this point, by the way. I don't know if that was clear because it wasn't clear to me, except that she comes back as a ghost.
It's important to say that she's dead because she basically voluntarily went for the kiss of death.
I missed the entire stupid fight. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
she was saying she was gonna sacrifice herself. Then she fed Billy to death, and then she was like, "Nah, never mind. I'm actually gonna be a good guy." It was the episode of Angry Beavers where Norb is Baron Bad Beaver, and he's like, "I'm Baron once bad, then good, then bad again. Now good once more, Beaver."
Well, I will say, while the weird energy blast fight was the worst part of WandaVision, it was probably one of the better parts of Agatha all along, because they're both careening towards that average area. That just like, okay, well, it's people fighting with energy blast. That's better than them contemplating whether or not they want to buy jade eggs and scented candles. I'm not going to go into it.
If you're moving towards the average area, I don't think careening is the word. That's too extreme. It's probably more like they were ambling towards average.
Maybe. But that is the moment where Wiccan gets his costume. And it reminded me for a brief moment that, this is supposed to be a superhero show.
And it clashed. It clashed so much with the art direction of the show. Like, I've seen Power Rangers sync the costumes in to make it mesh better with the franchise, and that was 2 different shows they were trying to combine. This was awful.
When he floats down,
sorry, bro. He looks like a baseball catcher and a Roman soldier had a baby with a purple headset.
Yeah,
it's clearly supposed to be a moment with the music swelling and like this big moment where he's revealed, and I'm like, I don't care, not at all. There's not one part of me that is like, oh, this is cool. No, it just was nothing.
He also, he gives up his powers to for Agatha, and then Agatha supposedly sells him down the river, but it was her plan all along to die. Okay, are there any details here that I'm missing before we can get to the last episode?
Who is the good person in the show? Is there
Wiccan.
one?
It's supposed to be Wiccan at this point.
I don't care who it's supposed to be. Who's the actual good person?
Kitty was the good person, and she died in like the 3rd episode.
I actually thought Kitty was going to be a big surprise. I thought that she was going to return somewhere at the end here for some big reveal.
I did too. That she wasn't going to be an ignoramus when she came back. That's what I thought. But that was too clever.
So then the last episode, they give all the details of Agatha's life. And it is that she spent her life, and she had a child who ended up, his name was Nicholas Scratch. They have no comment on who the father is or anything like that. But
I thought she said she made him from scratch. I thought that was the whole point.
Is that
they did.
Oh, so they have immaculate conception in this one too. That's fantastic.
Oh, how great would it be though if Death is the father? So we have another show with lesbian witches conceiving a child.
We have 2 shows in a row that are singing lesbian covens.
Death gave birth to a child she must kill with another lesbian witch in the exact same way that the Star Wars lesbian witches brought children into this world.
Right. So
same writers?
She has this little boy.
Air vents at Disney.
Yeah. So she has this little boy that she has him going around singing about the Witch's Road. And she's made up this song so that witches will be like, ooh, tell me about this road. So they join up in a coven. And then she kills those covens and takes all their power. So she's made up the concept of the Witch's Road.
But she doesn't do that until after he dies, right?
No, she went around stealing everybody's power.
She's using the kid as bait.
Yeah, the boy was an accessory to murder.
Yeah, she was using the kid to sing in the taverns to get the people interested.
Right. Well, now I'm more excited about her being the character that we follow with Billy on their grand adventures in the future.
So Agatha wrote the Witch's Road song and taught it to Nicholas Scratch. Then at some point, Death wanders in and while they're sleeping, and she's like, "You need to come with me now. We need to go visit Pawnee, Indiana.
I've got to give you candy. Can you get in my Astro van?"
He literally just walks off in the night. And it's supposed to be that the kid died. That's it. And then she's sad and she murders more witches. So this is all to say that the Witch's Road was made up and Wiccan believed that it was real. And through the power of his Scarlet Witch powers that he's got, he manifested the Witch's Road into existence. And that was the surprise of the whole series.
And the Witch's Road, by the way, at the end, all it is a giant therapy session for the writers who have serious trauma in their lives.
Right. And I have to say, people working out their trauma on screen is not something that you should spend $50 to $200 to $250 million to do. I don't know how much this show cost. They say it's the least expensive Marvel show yet.
No
in
way.
Live action.
Having seen this now, having seen people floating around in the air and all the other Marvel stuff, give me a break. That report that came out of who put that report out? Was that D'Alessandro who put that out?
It was
saying that it was $30 million or 30.
Did it, and then one of the trades reported.
Okay,
so it was all Tassie, and then
of course it's Tassie. D'Alessandro, I apologize. Go ahead, Kevin.
I mean, I believe it because for 7.5 episodes, they just stood in a circle and yapped at each other.
It was a pretty crappy set.
Yep.
So the set was so bad when she tore into that set later on. I'm like, yeah, that's basically how I feel about this show. Like, the sets are garbage.
At least I could rip through a screen and leave.
So now Agatha comes back as a ghost, and she talks about how it was her plan all along to become a ghost and find her power that way. And she's going to figure out how to be powerful as a ghost. And Wiccan is on his search to find, I'm going to say Tommy Maximoff, because I don't want to say that he's on his search to find his character's name, because that sounds like he's searching for a high. That's the end of the show. Is they're supposed to be saying that, oh, well, this is all things that he imagined the entire time. Again, they don't bring in the concept of Billy being Billy Maximoff, who is who has absorbed the body of William Kaplan until many episodes in. So they don't even introduce the concept of the bottle here, or the replay or the recursive aspect of it, until halfway through the show. And now at the end, almost the end, they're like, no, it was the entire thing was his imagination. And then after that, they explain who Agatha is. I will say, in all of this ridiculousness, these were the best 2 episodes of the series.
I didn't realize that witches had Ghostbuster proton pack beams and that you could absorb those to take their life force from them. It's really the things you learn from Marvel, the things you learn.
Ghostbusters would be an excellent addition to this show.
I think the show's greatest accomplishment was completely dispelling the myth of Kathryn Hahn as a good actress, because my goodness, was she terrible. I thought she was the worst thing in this show. She chews the scenery for the entire thing. Every time she opens her mouth, the show comes to a screeching halt. And I thought that was the worst possible thing in this show until the very end of the second to last episode, when we got to watch Aubrey Plaza for the first time ever try to be a character that's not April Ludgate. And I was like, no, this is worse, because Aubrey Plaza's acting at the end of that episode is shockingly horrific.
She went straight cartoon witch bad.
Yeah, you know what's funny is she was in Legion, and she was pretty good in Legion.
But she played April Ludgate in Legion.
Yeah, she
was the Shadow King was April Ludgate, essentially. The character was still that snarky, kind of sarcastic younger woman who rolls her eyes and everything. Like, it was the same thing. It's the thing about her that I've always said is she only plays one character, but that's okay because I like that character. We finally got to see her try something new, and it was just jaw-droppingly horrendous.
Great. Oh. I really, really want to know, though, how Lauren feels about all of this.
Yeah, well, I wanted to make a joke about jaw dropping after the makeout scene, but now I don't get to. Lauren, go ahead.
You know, I'm mostly just relieved. I still feel that the worst episode is the one that everybody knows I felt was the worst episode. I really hated the next to last episode. I thought the last episode was the best one of the series. So it's kind of hard to tell you how I feel about it because, okay, let me put it this way. Had the last episode showing the backstory of Agatha and Nicholas Scratch and all of that.
In the first episode.
Yes, it would have been much better, I think.
Because we were scared.
Yeah, and you can see it's like the whole problem with the show is, as you said, there are no good guys in this, including Billy. Because ultimately, he did kill people. You know, it may not have been his intention. He may not have realized he was doing it. But going back to the basement and putting their names on a stone as a sign of respect doesn't make up for the fact that he killed them.
Well, maybe he'll take on somebody's last name. Maybe he's Billy Skywalker next.
You know, Lauren, you actually make a really good point. I think this show would be markedly improved by moving the last episode to the beginning and then having Kathryn Hahn the entire time being like, I made up the Witch's Road. I have no idea what's going on here. I think the stakes would have been raised immeasurably.
Well, there's a couple of things that work in the last episode, and one is that you actually do buy the relationship between her and Nicholas Scratch. You can see that she loves this boy. He loves her. She knows there's a ticking clock, and she's terrified every day that it's going to be today. That's what worrying as a parent is. It's like you have this other life that you're now responsible for that is the center of your being. And you know it's likely that nothing's going to happen today, but it's always in the back of your mind. It could. And that's a scary feeling. And it's something that you never get away from as a parent. That gives you something to actually tie to with Agatha, because it's like, okay, there's been nothing redeeming about you throughout this entire show, but this feeling you have, I understand this, and that gives you something. Also, I think that it was wise of them to lay it out as this story about how she gave up the soul of her son to achieve the Darkhold, and really it's that she had nothing to do with it. It was just a tragic occurrence. Her son died, and she let that story go on, and that means that there is something there that you can kind of hold on to, that she's keeping that secret. That part works. It's the only part that does, because ultimately none of these characters have a redeeming quality.
One of my favorite things about Lauren's assessment is we find out from Lauren, and we all know this, we just now can verbalize it because he's done so for us. It took 9 episodes, and in the 9th episode, we finally had a human emotion from Agatha that we understood and that felt human. And there were 8 episodes where nothing about her or the other characters feels human at all, and we can't relate to them.
Well, how about the moment where he's like, oh my gosh, I killed 3 people. And she's like, it's okay because you saved 1 life. And they show Candle Witch flying away. And I was just like, wait, how does that even how does 1 life? You didn't even save her life. You just helped her get her magic back.
Marvin, she was going to go work at a Bed Bath and Beyond. Actually, I think that went bankrupt. We'll have to change it. She was going to go work at a what's the candle store, guys? Help me out. What's the name of that one?
Yankee Candle.
Okay, that'll work. She was going to go work at Yankee Candle, Marvin.
I ironically, where I
Ivana.
live, Bed Bath and Beyond is a Spirit Halloween right now.
It's too perfect. Actually, we'll keep it.
Well, no, but it almost sounded to me like they were like, it's okay that you killed 2 white ladies and a white adjacent Asian lady because you helped a black woman find her agency again.
Well, she went on to become a manager at a Bath and Body Works.
They keep skipping over that he possibly murdered a little boy to will his brother back into existence.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was actually almost a horrifying scene, because when he actually asks the question, "Am I killing this boy to save my brother's life?" and then he's gone. And they try to save that by having Agatha say, "No, sometimes boys just die." And given her experience, she's trying to say that, "No, you're not doing this." But it's the same mistake they made with WandaVision. It's the same exact thing. And they've had years of hearing people talking about this, and they still did the same thing.
Okay, let me show you guys very easily how bad the writers are for this show. Okay, everybody ready? The entire show hangs on the fact that Agatha had her son taken away from her by her lover, who is literally death. Everybody agree with that? That's the pinning of the whole show.
Yep.
Why did the Death Witch, substituting for the Death Angel, why did she have to kill the kid? What was the reason?
There is zero reason given.
All right, there you go, folks. There's the show in a nutshell. We have no idea. I mean, all you have to do is ask one question. All you got to do is ask one question about the entire premise of the show, and everybody goes, I have no idea, actually.
I would actually push back on that a little bit.
All right,
there is a reason for that.
You're going to say this was Billy's show all along.
Death is not evil. Death is neutral. Death is actually, as they say in the show, out of death does come life. And so it has no agenda when it comes. It is just nature's will. Death does come, and it is not due to virtue or malice or anything else. It just comes. It's random. And that's what happened here.
Can I just throw this in here? Can you imagine if they actually perform that scene, though? They have the scene of her walking off with the kid, and then you have the scene of Catherine Hahn waking up and it's reality, and the kid is dead, and she has to emote like that, as opposed to Death literally walks off with her kid as if the kid is still alive. That would be a powerful scene, but instead we get this weird MCU, I mean, like F-tier MCU combo jumbo.
The kid was going to be with Tony Stark, Jonas. It's a lovely, lovely CGI.
I'm sorry. Are we at Spider-Man now and Tony Stark Jr.?
Yeah, let's do that.
That would,
all right,
that
guys,
would be
it's time to go around the horn and do our review score for not only the finale, but we're just going to go ahead and give our review score for the entire series. Again, They canceled this before they ever released it. So there is no season 2. There is no season 3. This is it. We're going to give our score for the entire series, and we're going to start with Ron Bradley. Ron, go ahead. I'll be keeping tab so we get the average, so we can enumerate this up on the screen.
A lot of it was so bad for me. The last 2 episodes, I don't know. It's just so not worth watching. And here's my thought process behind this. A lot of people will not have watched this when at some point in time, Billy and Tommy will reunite and they'll be like, who the heck are these 2 kids? They won't even know.
I watched and I still don't know either. So,
and for that, I'm going to give the series like a 2 out of 10.
2 it is. Kevin, your go.
All right. So after 26 hours of watching Boring Witches on Disney Plus,
No,
17 hours of it being 17 hours of it being
26 hours of this.
17 hours of being boring lesbian witches. As a young man whose formative years were pre-internet, I will never forgive Disney for making attractive lesbians the most boring thing on earth. The last episode,
BLA, brother, boring lesbian action.
I agree with Lord. The last episode was the best episode, and it should have happened way earlier. But as soon as the show was done, I texted Marvin and said, "What was the point of any of this?" Because
None.
I don't actually know what the show was about, other than it was Billy after long, and Agatha had nothing to do with anything. She's incidental to the show. So I will just out of having enjoyed most of the last episode, maybe a 1.5, because I feel dirty giving it a 2.
All right. 1.5 is in the books. Nolan, your go.
I guess I owe Leslie Headland an apology, because apparently this wasn't the worst show of the year.
So
this
does Harvey.
Is continuing from that. This was awful. Like, I mean, everybody watching this pretty much knows it's bad. But, I mean, this is almost insultingly bad. Like, the directing is atrocious. The acting is bad. The script is horrible. The editing is a monstrosity. I have no idea how this is a professional thing. It's hard to follow. The pacing is garbage. As Lauren was saying earlier, I agree. I was actually thinking the same thing during the episode. Like, what if this was flipped to the first episode? Like, you get so much more tension with it. I know we weren't talking as much about some of the effects during that fight scene, but I don't like how, like, they're trying to convey crazy people for entertainment, like, not to insult anybody, but they're supposed to be, wild, zany characters. And there's a way you can thread the needle with that beautifully. Look at Bellatrix in Harry Potter. She was like very unsettling, but she had a lot of fun and snare to her. The people in this come off as annoying. When they're doing their super poses, they look more like they're constipated. Like, they're even the things that are supposed to be cool are just so poorly executed. I don't think I've ever seen a show of this budget in my life to where it fails in almost every measure. I have to give a special blame at the director. I hope this is an early venture for them, because I think there's a lot of improvement to be made. I feel like people with a much smaller budget could have made a more intriguing story and a much better and easy to follow movie. And I would like my characters to not look like they all came off of Gary's mod, the way they're acting. Like, it's bad. I would. Have we done the scores yet? Have we done the scores? Have we done the scores yet?
0 to 10. It's up to you, man. Give it a score.
Okay. This episode 0. Like, you shouldn't end your series with, and this is another problem I have with direction. You end on such a down note where you're finding out the backstory about her kid. Like, I don't want to be at the end of my Marvel show, like, thinking about this kind of stuff. Like, this is something you put in the middle or at the beginning to hook people. This is depressing, and people need a pick-me-up after this to just put themselves in a better mood. this is one of the worst Marvel things I've ever seen in my life, and I hope it just becomes irrelevant, or at least a warning to never let this happen again. Zero.
No, this is like if in the original Toy Story, the movie ended with Buzz laying on that hardwood floor while it played "I Will Go Sailing No More." That's the kind of Nolan. If you had to give the entire series a score, though, what would you give it?
I would give it a 1 because as someone who is really interested in a lot of different philosophies out there, real world philosophies, I think this makes. I mean, they're literally going back in history in different time periods and making the past lame. Like, they're doing everything they can to make the concept of witches lame. Like, this is disgusting to people who follow that, to people who don't follow that, in all these bunches of different groups that the show is trying to represent, whether it's in the background or from the foreground or metaphorical. It's an insult to everybody. It's garbage, this whole show.
Well, I can't disagree with you, and we don't know what the response is going to be from people who believe in witchcraft and all that sort of thing. It'll be interesting to see what their response is. But Lauren, in lieu of that, we've got you. What say you, Lauren?
Do you guys remember my rant?
More Charmin bears. More.
Could you
more
repeat it?
wiping analogies? He's got it. He's got it. And it's 2-ply. He spit big.
I mean, it takes a lot of effort to get to the end sometimes. Sometimes you just need some relief.
I think he just gave you a hyper hygienic 0 for the series. 0 from Lauren in TP form. All right, well, Lauren, here's what I'll say. The series is painful to watch. There's no reason to ever watch it again. There's no redeeming value to the show. But it's not the worst thing I've ever watched. There are worse things. I sat through Rainbow Bride and the Star Stealer. That was worse. I can imagine watching Garbage Pail Kids in reverse. That would be worse. This is bad. I'm going to give it a 0.75. I know I'm going to get in trouble for going into that kind of detail, but I mean, we're down at the fringe levels of bad. Marvin, your score, and then we'll get Jonas as our final pick-me-up. Marvin, go ahead.
In the Buffy the Vampire Slayer musical, there is a song, and it starts out, and it goes, Giles goes, I have a theory that it's a demon, a dancing demon. No, something isn't right there. And then Willow goes, I've got a theory. Some kid is dreaming, and we're all stuck inside his wacky Broadway nightmare. And then it ends with Buffy going, I have a feeling it doesn't matter. That was my journey through this show. It was literally that. It might be Mephisto or some demon. Oh, wait, no, it's just some kid's wacky Broadway nightmare. Oh, wait, none of this matters. It's pointless. Why did I do this to myself by actually watching this show? It is a failure on every conceivable level. It dispelled the rumor that Catherine Hahn can act for me. I mean, look, I love her in Parks and Recreation when she played Jennifer Barkley. That's a fantastic role. It ruined Aubrey Plaza for me, and to just the little stupid things, like he shows up in his comic book costume. I'm like, okay, Wiccan chose that costume to model himself after Thor because they were forming a young Avengers team. Where did he come up with this costume in this regard?
That's what I asked. That's what I asked at the beginning of the show. Where did the freaking costume come from?
It was like what Spencer said about the Nolan. Why do I do that all the time?
Why? Trish is dying somewhere.
I constantly call Spencer Nolan and Nolan Spencer. I'm sorry. What Nolan said about the editing, 100% accurate.
Go ahead, Wilton.
100% accurate. I give the entire series a 0.5 as well.
All right, 0.5, and that brings us to Jonas.
Mm-hmm.
Jonas, it's on you. What say you for the gayest Marvel series ever?
My bet is he gives it a 7.
I mean, only if I decided that we were going to be the next IGN. I'm going to give...
That was well played.
The second to last episode, I'm going to give a thumbs down. The last episode, I'll give a thumbs up. In the entire series, I am giving the lowest thumbs down that I could possibly give it. Acolyte was worse. I don't know. I feel like I need to go back and
dread on Lauren's face as you say Acolyte was worse.
Oh, Acolyte was much worse. Acolyte was directly addressed the fans and ridiculed the fans.
To terror now.
Are you serious? Is Acolyte really worse than this?
Acolyte, I believe, was intended to be offensive to the fans. I think Agatha at least was trying to cater to an audience that at least it was a different audience. I think the Acolyte was actively offensive to Star Wars.
Goth wine.
The Acolyte was a gauntlet that was thrown down by the Fempire, being like, "I dare you to come at us."
Right. But you guys at the start of this were all saying that Agatha was much worse. I was starting to feel pretty good about the Acolyte coming up. Don't you?
I still think this is worse.
Oh wait, I've forgotten that you haven't seen the Acolyte yet, Lauren.
Yeah, that's
I haven't.
the charity stream coming up next month.
So again, this is another show that is way down on the list. If I were to give it a numerical score, it would be an abysmally low score. This is in that the Marvels kind of level of incomplete, except that the Marvels had jokes.
Jonas, if I give it a 1 on your behalf, will you? Is that okay?
It's a little high, but okay.
All right, 0.75. You land where I am. That okay?
I'm fine with that. I'm not going to fight you.
Okay, 0.75. Carry the 3 plus the X. Oh my Lord, this is going to be bad, guys. This might be the lowest score we've ever given for a series. Wow. Okay, here we go. Final review score for Agatha All Along. 0.9 out of 10. This is a 0.9 out of 10 for the entire series. Let it be said that X-Men 97, we gave that an 8.7 for the entire series. We are not here to just bash stuff for the fun of it. This is legit. We honestly believe that this show deserves this kind of a score, and it will be very difficult for any show in the future to ever beat this. I don't want to challenge Marvel or Disney, but I think it would be incredibly difficult for a show to manage to come in under this.
Ironheart's coming up, right, bro?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing that Marvin's saying. Ironheart is next year.
Yeah, Ironheart's coming out.
Oh, heaven help us. Heaven help us. And yet again, folks, we have come to the end. But what a video it has been, and we hope you agree. Folks, if you had a good time with us, consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment right on down below. We care about your thoughts. Folks, we also want to invite you to partake in thatparkplace.com. Of course, www. You get the idea. Thatparkplace.com. It is the website telling the truth, and it is a rising star across the web for pop culture news coverage and analysis. Go over there and bookmark it today. Folks, we're bookmarking you as a great guest that we appreciate. Until the next time we have the honor of spending time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, folks, you better believe it, keep having fun.